Coming up, the Phillies walk off against another wild card contender. This is Locked On Game to Game, MLB.
Every game, every team, every angle. Locked On Game to Game, your team every day.
Welcome in. You're listening to Locked On Game to Game MLB. Local experts join us. Then we recap all the action for you from yesterday across Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. Trea Turner drove in 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning to give the Phillies a win instead of taking a loss to the Giants in Philly. With a walk-off victory in hand for the Philadelphia Phillies, our Locked On hosts tell us about the finish.
My goodness, what a win for the Philadelphia Phillies. Connor Thomas, your host of Locked On Phillies, and the offense looked anemic tonight until the last inning. And just some great at-bats by the Phillies in the bottom of the 9th. Trea Turner with the walk-off liner up the middle, off of the glove of the pitcher. I mean, just... that's a battle win. That's a playoff win. That's a huge series win against the San Francisco Giants. Man, I'm fired up right now with this team. It wasn't pretty, but Taijuan Walker battled even after wearing a liner back up the middle. And this is just a beautiful, beautiful fight by the Philadelphia Phillies. The way you win ball games down the stretch in Major League Baseball is by winning the tough games that you maybe shouldn't have. Tonight, the Giants could have easily taken this one, but the Phillies snatched victory from the jaws of defeat, and Trea Turner is back, baby. We'll talk more on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.
C.J. Abrams hit a home run in the 8th inning that put the Nationals up for good and sent the Yankees to their 9th straight loss. Locked On Yankees has more after another L.
The Nats beat the Bronx Bombers up in New York of a score of 2-1. Ryan Clary from Locked On Nationals here. The big storyline from today's game is not really from the Nationals. It's up in New York with the Yankees. This is an all-time bad Yankees team at this moment in time. They just lost their 9th straight game, the first time in 40-plus years. But let's get to National stuff now. Josiah Gray did start today's game. He looked decent, but even then, Josiah Gray threw more balls than he did strikes. But even with his inconsistencies with his command so far this season, and really tonight in particular, he still found a way to actually put up decent numbers considering going 6 innings pitched, only gave up 1 hit, and that 1 hit was a solo home run, which always seems to bite Josiah every now and then. C.J. Abrams comes in the 8th inning, a game-separating home run. You love to see it up at Yankee Stadium.
This is Stacey Gotsoulias of Locked On Yankees, and the Yankees dropped their 9th game in a row. Something they haven't done since September 1982. Think about how long ago 1982 was. No one on the Yankees was born yet. Aaron Boone was, but he doesn't count. He's a coach. Yeah, that's a long time ago. Carlos Rodon gave the Yankees what they needed. 6 innings, only 1 run. But the offense... 2 hits, both by Ben Rortvedt. 1 was a home run, so thankfully they scored a run and weren't shut out. But other than that, nothing was really happening. What was happening for the Yankees, though, let's do some good news, bad news. Bad news, they've lost 9 in a row. Offense is still anemic. But good news, the defense looked really good. And Rodon had his butt saved a few times by the defense and also by the Nationals trying to take second too many times. So... we'll have everything you need to know about this game on the next Locked On Yankees. And can they get it to 10? We'll find out.
Coming up, the Blue Jays put away the Orioles in extras. This is Locked On Game to Game MLB. This episode of Locked On MLB is brought to you by eBay Motors. A championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same thing goes for your vehicle. So for parts that fit, head to eBay Motors and look for the green check. Stay in the game with eBay Guaranteed Fit, ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers, eligible items only, and exclusions do apply. Welcome back. You're listening to Locked On Game to Game MLB. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. The Pirates beat the Cardinals last night as the 2 teams battle in the basement of the NL Central. Locked On Cardinals has the details from the losing side in Pittsburgh.
Another day, another loss for the St. Louis Cardinals as they fall to a season-low 17 games under 500. Hey, it's JD from Locked On Cardinals. And Adam Wainwright was on the mound again tonight, going for that elusive career win number 199. And through 4 innings, it looked like maybe, just maybe, he might get it. But in the fifth inning, it all falls apart thanks to some questionable calls by the home plate umpire, but more importantly, the Pittsburgh Pirate Bats, who played 5 on 3 singles, 2 doubles, and an Andrew McCutchen home run to knock Waino out of this game. It's another ugly line for the future Cardinals Hall of Famer, who once again comes up short in an attempt to get his first win since the month of June. We're almost at the end of August here. Wilson Contreras, manager Ali Marmol, Jordan Walker, they all get tossed late for arguing balls and strikes. And to think we've still got 35 more of these games to go. Whee! For the latest updates and info, be sure to keep it Locked On Cardinals.
The Blue Jays scored 3 runs in the top of the 10th inning to put away the Orioles in Baltimore, and our Locked On hosts go over the final.
Hello, friends. Craig Ballard, Locked On Blue Jays. Brandon Belt comes through for the Toronto Blue Jays with a massive 2-run home run in the top of the 10th inning as the Blue Jays take the series opener in Baltimore 6-3 in 10 innings. Vladdy, Varsho, Chapman, and Kevin Kiermaier all with multiple hits tonight. Relievers Trevor Richards, Jordan Hicks, and Eric Swanson were all excellent tonight for the Blue Jays. Romano in the bottom of the 10th as well, quickly and quietly. And that play from Bo Bichette, that defensive play by Bo in the bottom of the 9th was wow, wow, wow. And with the win, the Blue Jays moved to 3-8 versus the Orioles this season, just 3-8, I know. But hey, the win, that's in the past. The 2-8 is in the past. The 1-0 is what's fresh. The Blue Jays now have Kevin Gausman on the mound tomorrow night looking to secure this series win. So tune into the Locked On Blue Jay podcast tomorrow as we're going to go ahead and get set for that game.
Hurricane Hillary had kept the Reds and Angels off the field on Monday, but things had dried up enough in Anaheim for the teams to take the field last night. Our Locked On hosts recap the delayed start to the series.
After waiting an extra day, the Cincinnati Reds start off the series with the Los Angeles Angels with a win. What's up? This is Jeff Carr from the Locked On Reds podcast, and Graham Ashcraft worked a beautiful gem, 7 innings, 10 strikeouts, set a career high, and he only gave up 3 runs, couple of homers, but all in all, he limited the damage, and the lineup got just enough, got the 4 runs they needed, 3 of them with 2 outs in the 5th inning after Elly De La Cruz reached on an error and then scored from first on a Spencer Steer triple moments later. Elly was all over the place, made a great diving grab at shortstop, just continues to show why he is amazing. Oh, and by the way, he had a steal earlier in this game. He became the youngest player ever to hit 10 homers and steal his first 20 bags. I mean, nobody else has done it quicker.
The Angels get Mike Trout back, and Lucas Giolito throws his best game in an Angels uniform, and the Angels still find a way to lose. Hey, everybody, it's Mike Frisch, one half of Locked On Angels. The Angels lose to the Cincinnati Reds 4-3 on Tuesday night, and it really came down to 3 unearned runs that scored in the top of the 5th. Here's the scene. 2 runners, second and third. Elly De La Cruz at the plate, grounds a ball, a weak ground ball to first base. Nolan Schanuel grabs it, but the ball bounces off his glove. He was trying to rush because De La Cruz is fast, and because the ball bounced away, both runners, second and third, end up scoring. And then the very next batter singles down the left field line. De La Cruz scores from first base, and that's all she wrote. 4-3, Angels lose. This all-in team looks to be all done. So now what do we do as fans? Let's talk about it on Locked On Angels.
Coming up, a late surge of offense gets the Rays a win. This is Locked On Game to Game MLB. Welcome back. You're listening to Locked On Game to Game MLB. I'm Kainani Stevens. Cole Calhoun delivered the dagger against the Dodgers last night, hitting a 3-run home run and giving the Guardians more than enough insurance against LA. The Locked On hosts with the teams go over the matchup in Cleveland.
Baseball is a funny game. If you looked at the schedule this week with the Los Angeles Dodgers coming to Cleveland and who they were pitching and who the Guardians were throwing out there, you would have thought this was going to be an easy sweep for the Dodgers. And instead, on Tuesday night, the Guardians run away with a win and a laugh for 8-3 over the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm Justin Latticose of Locked On Guardians. Noah Syndergaard, former Dodger who struggled in LA before being traded to Cleveland for Med Rosario at the trading deadline, went out and threw a quality start, 6 innings, 3 runs, pretty solid start for him. Cole Calhoun, who was in the Dodgers minor league system this year, kind of riding it out, hit a big home run in the game to give the Guardians the win over Bobby Miller, who looked very dominant early in the game. Before the game, Tito Francona had a press conference, and there were some questions asked about his future, leading some speculation that this may be his last year as manager. Nothing guaranteed yet. He hasn't made any sort of announcement, but speculation is out there, and we're going to talk about it on Locked On Guardians. If this is the end, if it's coming close for Terry Francona and the Cleveland Guardians, and a great run. So stay tuned to Locked On Guardians for
The Cubs tried their best to keep up with the Tigers' offense yesterday, but Detroit just had too much for Chicago to handle behind Andy Ibanez's 2 home runs. After the Tigers took a win that the Cubs could have used, our Locked On Cubs host tells you what went wrong on the mound.
Just an absolutely devastating loss for the Cubs on Tuesday night. Drew Smiley, who I'm not really sure should have been out there in the first place, was left in way too long. Through 80-plus pitches, I thought they were going to use him as more of an opener. He's replacing Marcus Stroman in the rotation, his first start in a while, and they hadn't been good before that. He gave up 7 earned runs. Cubs fought their tails off offensively. He was able to score 6 runs, but they needed 8, and the Tigers win 8-6. And as we're recording this, every single team that the Cubs are chasing or in front of are winning. So it is shaping up to be a rough night on the north side. Really rough loss against the Tigers. They had a great win Monday night. So I guess this is, baseball doing its thing. But they really need to win this series on Wednesday afternoon.
The Rays beat the Rockies last night in what looked like a blowout, but Tampa didn't even take the lead until a 9-run 8th inning. After a big explosion of offense, our Locked On hosts have more.
Well, the Rays do it and do it very nicely. They win 12-4 against the Colorado Rockies, coming back from behind. My name is Ulysses Sembrano, host of the Locked On Rays podcast. Yes, the Rays had an easy adversary. However, they were losing until the later part of the game and till 4-3, and then they just basically did whatever they wanted against the Colorado Rockies bullpen. And like I said, they win 12-4, including the first MLB home run by Osleivis Basabe, who had a grand slam. So that was fantastic. For this and much more of your Tampa Bay Rays, please subscribe to Locked On Rays on any podcast platform, especially YouTube. Rays up.
Justin Verlander threw 6 shutout innings and led the Astros to a win over the Red Sox. On Tuesday, our Locked On hosts have the recap.
We want a pitcher, not a belly itcher. Well, how about Justin Verlander? Justin Verlander had 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, only allowed 5 hits, and had some words with Alex Cora. Basically, Alex Cora thought that he was trying to have some tactics, saying the pitch comm wasn't working, and he was trying to get rid of the pitch clock violation. But Justin Verlander basically said something off. And so I'm not going to say that right here, but the Astros won this game. Justin Verlander pitched great. You had Kyle Tucker with a mammoth shot, and the Astros scored 7 runs overall on 8 hits, and you had a great effort by Diaz. You had Dubon with a sneaky kind of race with Rafael Devers to home plate on a bunt. And so there's just a lot of great games. Singleton with 2 doubles. So this game was great. So check out the Locked On Astros podcast.
3 errors, 11 runners left on base. This is Gabby from Locked On Red Sox, here to tell you that the Red Sox had yet another bad loss tonight to the Astros. The second night in a row in which they had opportunities to keep themselves in the game and could not come through and deliver. They had so many different scenarios where they had runners on base and they couldn't get that big hit to drive runners in until it was too late. And it's incredibly frustrating. They have opportunities, and everything that they've struggled with all season is coming into play in this series. You cannot give extra outs to a team like the Astros. You have to play your best baseball against the team that's as talented as they are. And the Red Sox are just simply not doing that, and Houston's taking advantage. So I'm hoping they can get a split, but can't play like this.
That's a wrap for this edition of Locked On Game to Game MLB. Thank you, as always, for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. The regular season is winding down and the playoff push is here. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On MLB and your favorite team's Locked On podcast on YouTube and wherever else you get your podcasts from. I'm Kenani Stevens. This has been Locked On Game to Game.